Good evening, guys. My name is Crystal. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing well this evening. Right, guys, I've just come back from walking Max from just around the block, just going for a walk. It's really, really cold outside. Alexa, what's the time, please?
The time is 7:14 p.m.
Right, it's 7:14 p.m. I told you I haven't done too much today. I have cleaned my bathroom. I've cleaned part of my living room. I intend to start on the bedroom over the next couple of weeks because that's a big job. Also, my cat passed away in my bedroom, so it's a bit upsetting for me. So I will get and do that. Yeah, she passed away last year in my bedroom. It's a bit upsetting thinking about that. So I've just been outside, freezing cold. God, not many people about. Not in the dark there wasn't. Not many people about at all. So I don't feel depressed. I had a bit of a stomachache actually, upset tummy. So I was feeling a bit grotty before I left. I'd also been playing some Scrabble Go, playing against people on the internet, but I cut the chat off so they can't contact me. I get taken the piss out of. I can't, do you know what I mean? It's pretty obvious I'm a woman, and I try and ignore it. I take no notice of it because a load of people get it. It's not just me. Once you start to get a bit well known or you're doing well, someone tries to put you down and try to destroy what you've built up. And I told you I had a poetry channel many years ago, and somebody posted a really hateful comment, like a page. It was like an essay on how bad my poetry was. And I was much younger then, and it really, really hurt. And I deleted all my poems off that site. That's just what they wanted, wasn't it? When you do things like that, that is just what they want. They want to upset you. They want you to take your channels off. They want you to get rid of everything that you've done. Not doing it, I'm afraid. So I wasn't feeling depressed when I went outside, but there was nobody about. There was one jogger, a male jogger. There's always cars near the co-op because people are going in and out of the co-op. They come from everywhere to go into that co-op, so it's always lit down there, and I made sure that I stayed in lit areas. You get cases of people being beaten up because of what they believe in, because what they're dressed like, their gender, so I just keep to lit streets really. Keep safe, walk tall. See, if you walk all hunched over, then you look vulnerable, so I walk tall, got my beanie, got my coat, and I walk tall and I show that I ain't afraid, you know what I mean? I had a couple of lads walk towards me when I was coming round the back of the flats, and I didn't want Max to bark, so I moved out the way. Just moved out the way. It was like they were walking towards me, so I moved out the way. I moved Max out the way because he barks anyway. He started barking at cats, would you believe? So I don't want to draw attention to myself, you know what I mean? So I've got Max barking at cats. So we've come back in, all's okay. I haven't written the diary today. I've had a bit of a bad tummy. So we'll get tomorrow, that's Mother's Day. We'll see what happens Mother's Day. And we go from there. So it's now 7:19. I usually put on the telly, like Talking Pictures TV, see if there's a film on. or I listen to a bit of the news, just sit down and then play a couple of games. I live by myself. It does get monotonous and boring sometimes, but I do like being by myself. Because I said I was sat the other day thinking, if I have someone in my life, they're going to won't like Max, because Max might be a nuisance to them. They might not like cats, and I'm not letting go of my pets. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite happy the way things are. So I told you, between 6 and about 8ish is the worst time for me, mood wise. And first thing in the morning I have to make myself get up and motivate myself. And I used to look at my phone and I used to get hateful messages, and that used to upset me, but I've blocked them all. Like I said, now what they do is they join my channel under like Fattore, or some, like I said, if they want to subscribe to my channel under these names, they're just adding to the followers I've got, so I'm not bothered by that. I know I'm not fat. And do you know what fat is to some people? You've got to be the size of a twig. We all come in different shapes and sizes, all builds, short, small, tall, thin, large. I don't think I'd suit being skinny, to be fair. I really don't think I'd suit being super skinny anyway. I've had 4 kids and I'm never going to go back to the way I was before I had children, so you can forget that anyway. I put some nail varnish on to cheer myself up, and it actually goes with this jacket and my beanie. So I put some Zara nail polish on. Nail varnish bloody stinks. It does, doesn't it? It stinks to high heaven, nail varnish. Alexa, LBC Radio.
LBC London from Global Player.
Appreciate it. What a brilliant way of speaking Elizabeth has. I could actually have listened to her speak all day. Please do call again. Kevin has called from Basingstoke. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I think the government are demonising these protests because they want to restrict our rights to protest. Yeah, so, you know, it's like Rwanda. I think they're using Rwanda as a reason to take us out of the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah.
And you get any, I mean, if there's 50,000 people protesting, I mean, there's quite a high chance that you're going to get some people that are undesirable.
Indeed, and I've made this point before, but there's no harm in making it again, that often the amount of people who are arrested on these protests consistently is less than would be arrested at, for example, Glastonbury, or much less than at your average football match. You know, as you quite rightly say, Kevin, when you have a large group of people, it's always going to attract some people who want to cause trouble, but it's not representative of the majority. Kevin, I'm going to let you go only because your line isn't great, but very much understood your point. I was thinking, is this just a way for the government to score cheap political points? And they haven't got much else at the moment, have they? People are very dissatisfied with the government record after 14 years. And perhaps saying, look, we are protecting Jewish people who feel unsafe is the only thing that they have left in terms of a policy that can make it seem like they're doing something. But I wonder if that's too generous a reading of what's going on, and actually it's more sinister, and it's about clamping down on our rights to protest. 0345 6060 973 is the number to call if you want to get involved. Robin has called from Hampstead. What would you like to say?
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me. I just would like to say that these marches over the last 5 months, demonstrations for the ceasefire, has been gone completely out of proportion. And why do I say that? Because when President Assad of Syria was killing with no mercy his own people, approximately, I believe, 500,000 people that he killed. There was no any demonstration in central London every week for him to stop.
Yeah, I agree with you, Robin. I think the difference is that Britain was so instrumental in creating Israel and has continued to be an ally to Israel. So I think it's British people saying this is not being done in my name. I think that's why there is such a connection that so many people feel to that area of the world.
Well, it's not only England. If you look at Europe, in France, in the US, I think there is more than that. I think there is more of a anti-Semitic part of the demonstration. I mean, I like to make a few other points. Several weeks ago, outside our synagogue that we go in central London, those in St. John's Wood, those people going to the demonstration in central London were showing Palestinian flag right outside our synagogue. Yesterday, Friday afternoon, on the Swiss Cottage roundabout, there were 15 Palestinian flags in Swiss Cottage. Friday afternoon, Friday late afternoon, early evening.
Robin, can I ask you?
Yes?
This is. I apologise in advance if this sounds ignorant, but I genuinely am interested in the answer to this question. If the aim is a two-state solution, Israel and Palestine living harmoniously side by side, and that, as far as I can work out, is what most people want to see, then why is a Palestinian flag seen as a threat when it's placed outside a synagogue?
Well, do you see people going with an Israeli flag outside the mosque? Do you see people doing that? This is purely provocation, hatred for Jewish people. That's all it is. It's taken out of proportion. And regarding President Assad of Syria bombing his own people, you had his people coming to Israel from the Golan Heights in Israeli hospitals being treated. Nobody said anything about it. But as soon as Israel is trying to defend itself, then there is outrageous. There is a demonstrations out of proportions. I think that it's much deeper than that. It's not a very straightforward.
Yeah, I agree with you that there are complexities there, and I completely take on board everything that you said, Robin. Thank you for your call. I think the crucial difference, though, with what's happening in Gaza is that many people feel that they are watching. And some people would categorize it as a genocide. Other people would take issue with that. Other people would describe it as an ethnic cleansing. What none of us can disagree with is we're seeing a huge amount of death and suffering of innocent civilian people, including many women and children. And it feels like we are watching it in real time, not least of all because of social media and the access that we have to that information and footage, scant though it is because of the lack of journalists in the area. But still, there's that sense of helplessness of watching what many people would call an injustice happening in real time, and that sense of I need to do something. So I can completely understand why people might have a different response to this than they have had to historic atrocities where perhaps there wasn't the same immediacy because it wasn't being reported in the same way. Another first-time caller, Joe, has called from Birmingham. What would you like to say?
Oh, yeah. So I just want to discuss the fact that these are some of the biggest protests that we've seen in this country, in London. And it always seems to be overshadowed by the number of people that have been arrested. But the number of people are literally a handful of people. We've got the Prime Minister coming, making special speeches about how they've been hijacked. I've not actually seen any evidence of who they've been hijacked by. And, with any protest, you're always going to get some disorder. And you don't see any of the people who are organising this protest showing any support whatsoever for these people that have been arrested. And I mean, if you compare it to your everyday, match day, where there's 20,000-30,000 people attending a full match, and you've got a number of people being arrested. That's you don't see any special announcements about it on the news, but for some reason, the attention for these pro-Palestinian marches seems to be taken away, and they seem to focus on the negative factors around those marches, which is quite unfair. And I mean,
Yeah.
going back to the fact that the Prime Minister had to make a special announcement about it, it says a lot, really. I mean, doesn't it? I personally think a lot of this has been driven by, how Israeli lobbyists and the narrative that they're trying to spread within, our main media channels and the Prime Minister. It's scaremongering. I don't understand why he had to make that speech about the Islamophobic people hijacking these marches. But they've been very, very peaceful.
And I saw a piece, and I appreciate that he wouldn't have been responsible for the editorial decision over the picture that accompanied it, but I saw a piece by Robert Jenrick in the Daily Mail, I believe it was last week, saying, it's not unreasonable to oppose Islamic extremism. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Of course, any kind of extremism must be opposed. But next to that headline was a picture of a group of brown men just peacefully protesting with Palestinian flags. And I thought, okay, but what is unreasonable is to put the word extremism in a headline next to some British people exercising their democratic right to protest. And it's that kind of, it's quite subtle, I guess, stuff that feels to me really sinister. But then I appreciate you could make similar arguments about some of the articles that came out about the Black Lives Matter marches. So that's why I'm asking you if it feels different to you. 0345 6060 973 is the number to call if you want to get involved. It's 7:30 now and time for the news headline.
Right, guys. I was just listening to that. I don't think that was that loud, and there was a massive thump on the ceiling. It can't be that, surely. It's like a big stamping thud on the ceiling. Sounds like someone's got a temper. Maybe. I've had to put up with more than that, haven't I? Anyway, I'm here in my flat. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my evening, and nothing's going to make me feel miserable and horrible or get me cross either. But it is 7:32 in the evening, and I don't think that was loud. Not compared to what I've had to put up with in the past anyway. All I wanted that radio on for was to do a piece for my video for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I put my TV on, just watch the TV. So I can't seem to move in my flat. I don't know what it is. I need to speak. I need to listen to things. I can't just sit here and just be completely silent and do nothing, can I? And I just got the feeling that, don't stamp your authority onto me. Right, guys. No, Harry, don't scratch the sofa. Got a scratching post over there. So, I won't be controlled. I won't be bullied. And I won't put myself in a situation. If you've got 2, 3, 4 people walking towards you, right, you've got to be careful, especially when you're walking in the dark. This is not only women's safety, it's men's safety as well. I mean, men get attacked because of their gender. Men get attacked for what they're wearing because they're different, just as much as women do. So, Harry, don't. I have no sofa left. What I'm trying to say is, if there are 3 or 4 people walking towards you, don't push into them. Don't push. Don't say anything. Just move out the way. Because I was in Gloucestershire, and I was in a hurry, and I was going to visit my son in hospital in Gloucestershire, and all I did, there was 4 people walking abreast on the pavement, and all I did was say to them, can you move out the way please, I am in a hurry. And I didn't shout and I wasn't aggressive. They followed me, the mother and son. I was on my own, a woman. The mother and son followed me to Gloucestershire bus station. The woman hit me in the stomach with a handbag, and her son scratched me and made me bleed. Just because I asked them, can you please move out the way? So be very careful, especially if you're walking in the dark and they might be coming at you. I was walking to the side and I had 2 guys come, they were that way and they started coming towards me. That's my mum. So, there were 2 guys to the side of me there. They weren't going into the flats that way, they could have walked past that way, but they were coming towards me. And I thought, no, I'm going to walk that way, out of their way. They were also smoking, and smoking aggravates my throat and my nose. So, yeah, a woman hit me in the stomach with a handbag and her son scratched me and I bled. So be very careful, especially when you're out at night, and if you're on your own, don't go near groups of people. Especially if they've been drinking or they're smoking weed. I was totally shocked. They were trying to stop me going to the hospital to see my son. That's what they were doing. It was a setup. And this woman hit me in the belly with a handbag. And you've got to be careful with, somebody might have a condition and he cut my skin. So that reminded me of that, and I remembered that, and I thought, right, just keep away from these guys, let them go past. It can save your life. See you later.